Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey used his service to officially announce that 4 key members of the team are leaving the company. That's Katie Stanton, who's the head of media, Kevin Wheel, who is the head of product, Alex Roeder, head of engineering, and then Jason Toff, who's the head of Vine. Although it kind of seems like in Jason's situation, it may have been more of his choosing. We don't know of the other 3, whether they all randomly out of nowhere decided to leave at the same time, or whether it was, kind of a higher up call downward. But Jason Toff, took to Twitter and basically said it was a tough decision. I've decided to go to Google to work on VR stuff.
Yeah,
so
you gotta
it
follow
may have
the
been
VR.
a different scenario with him, but still 4 very key members of kind of the Twitter executive branch gone.
And Jack Dorsey says they left willingly. He doesn't, sort of, that's what he said. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I think when you have that number of departures in such quick succession, they're not randomly lined up. I don't know precisely how they did this internally, but they could have been unified on the employee side or the executive side. But what I found most interesting in this was we finally got a CEO to comment on rumors and speculation instead of just denying they were going to do so. Did you guys think that the way he announced the departures was kind of odd?
Well, I thought it was interesting.
this.
It's like the screenshot of, it's using Twitter, but it looks like using a notes app or something. It doesn't look bad necessarily, but I'm thinking, first of all, the way he did that on Twitter, just basically saying, hey, after there's all these rumors, I was going to wait and tell everyone, individually, but now I'm going to come out. Maybe the fact that he has to write that way. And plus, if you look at the comments underneath the tweets, there's the, requisite fights of someone saying like, hey, how about you put in a tool so that I don't get harassed? And then a bunch of people harassing that person. So,
Right.
it's like maybe that's the problem. That's why everyone's leaving.
Yeah, right there. Well, I think if you think about Twitter right now, I think we're all still addicted to it, but we're kind of the minority. And so if you're going to have a product-wide shakeup and get more people onto the service, you probably can't do that with the troops you already have. And so to see Jack pull the trigger like this, even if it wasn't quite entirely his choice, but so forth, maybe this is the rejiggering of their staff they needed to finally have a new direction for the core Twitter experience. Because if they don't make dramatic changes, they can't get user with growing, and then they're in serious trouble and Jack's fired. So perhaps this is a little more brave and a little less desperate than people originally thought, or initially thought, I should say.
New York Times says 2 new board members to be named very soon. One, a, quote, high-profile media personality.
Maybe it's you.
Ellen
Is it Meghan
DeGeneres. I don't know.
I'm pulling for Meghan, honestly.
Yeah.
I would sleep a lot better at night if that was the case.
All right. Please let me know in advance,
Okay, I
though, because
will.
as far as the
take the
show is
job.
concerned, we're going to have to work on some things
Okay,
to make
good.
that happen. Big changes up top have been expected since, of course, Dorsey took over CEO last October. At this point, let's see here, Twitter stock kind of taking a hit this year, so people want change, and they kind of expect it at this point. So this really seems to be kind of part of that. I do also agree. It's very interesting that he's taking a screenshot of the announcement, but I think that's kind of part of the CEO playbook right now when you happen to run a social network is you use your social network to break big news. And right now, the only way to do that is that. And we know that Dorsey has plans, has mentioned, at least referred to plans to open up the character limit on regular posts. So maybe this will speed that up. So he's like, any future announcements? I'd like to not have to take a screenshot of them. I'd like to actually just use the service.
Wouldn't it be great if he had announced it on Peach, the popular social network Peach?
Oh, heavens. Please, no. I'm just glad it wasn't on Medium. That was my guess.
Right.
I feel like everyone uses Medium now for their little PR announcements. But in this case, it was a tweet. And that's, I think, at least, on brand. So we can give him points for that.
Yeah, and there has been one kind of late-breaking fill-in, Nathan Hubbard, VP of Global Media now. So he was the former head of commerce. He also happened to be a former Ticketmaster CEO, by the way. But so he's what another thing that I find very interesting about this is if it's a planned thing, why do the planned thing and then not still have your backups kind of lined up and ready in order? Like there's something very ramshackle about the approach.
Well,
you know what I mean?
This is what happens when Kara Swisher and Mike Isaac are both reporting on your changes at the same time.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
want to keep something secret. Those two are the NSA of the tech world. So I don't think he had much of a choice to pull this out in the way he wanted to. But given that he was going to announce later this week anyways, I agree with your point that this doesn't seem to be that well ironed out.
Orchestrated
to minimize the
in
PR impact. Yeah, because the shares were down another about 4 or 5% today again. That's really, really adding up.
Yeah, at the end of Kara and Kurt's article on Recode, they point out that Twitter's going to have a board conference in San Francisco this week. So maybe that, the timing of that was interesting. They also, mentioned that Recode was not invited to this conference, but they of course will be reporting on it anyway. And we will be reporting on what they report.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah, well, it's reporting all the way down. One thing I heard a while back before the share price really collapsed was that anything below $30 a share was going to be kind of the threshold that they may get acquired at. And now they're at something like 17, 16 bucks a share. I don't have it pulled up right now. Yeah. But I mean, they're very much in play. I think if there's anyone out there who wants to buy them, they're worth about $12 billion somewhere in there. And that's just not that expensive. So I'm curious if the board meeting will consist of how you're going to sell the company instead of how you're going to turn it around. But I was also not invited. So we'll have to see what kind of shakes loose.
Yeah. Maybe we should get together and buy them. What do you guys think?
We could just pitch in our pennies and make it happen. $17 a share right now, $17.02.
There we go. Thanks.